This is Take 5 with Bentley Nevada. In the studio with me again today is Carlos Gomez, VP of the Augury Strategic Alliance with Bentley Nevada. And Carlos, we in our last visit talked a little bit about who gets to define customer success and the role of the customer success manager. Is this something that was kind of a best practice from Augury that we've started adopting? Was this something that was happening prior with Bentley Nevada?
Look, I think from a customer success management standpoint, this is actually a function, if you will, that's really come into existence as different SaaS, software as a service providing organizations have really wanted to engender that stickiness with their software, right? Making sure their customers not only get maximum use and value out of what they have, but, prevent churn, et cetera. So to me, the CSM concept is one that's been around now for a little bit. Now, I would argue that, companies like Augury and, us emulating Augury are really trying to create an expertise around it as we get more and more fine-tuned with how well we can deliver value.
For anybody who's ever put a budget together and had to justify, the spend, it may sound trivial, but it's not. To think about having somebody who's attached to a SaaS solution that's helping you identify all the ways you're getting value out of it. It makes your job, I won't say simple, but certainly easier. When it comes time to decide, am I going to push the easy button and renew? I'm not sure if you'll know the answer, Carlos, but I'm going to ask anyway. Do you have any idea what percentage of customers re-up when their subscription, it's time to renew? And that would give some indication, I think, of, how satisfied are customers?
That's actually a great question. And, just what we see out there in the market, best in class is less than 5%, right? So you're always going to have a little bit of churn
Sure.
for reasons that sometimes you can't control. And then anything above 10% starts to begin to be a problem. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the benchmarks we utilize.
If you think about the risk now that Bentley Nevada is carrying, because in the old days when you bought the entire solution, big investment, lots of work to get it installed and then use it. And if you decide it's not delivering, although I'm not suggesting that was happening all the time, the point is the bar's pretty high in terms of risk. With a SaaS model, there's a lot of risk for Bentley to deliver value continually, because if you're not, it's kind of easy for the customer to walk.
I love the way you phrased that, Steve, because one of the benefits for our customers with that SaaS model is Bentley and Augury in our alliance, right? We're heading to the customer, telling them and presenting them with, look, we want to help take on an extra piece and an extra chunk of that risk factor by helping you with the fact that we're going to help control for when hardware needs to be replaced. That's on us. When you need service out there to put a sensor back on, that's on us. When you need that live 24/7 window chat online in the platform, we're there. That is a lot of extra weight that we're bringing to the table. And again, it all exists, and maybe I'd say it this way, it can exist because you're instilling value quickly, right? Not within years, but within months. And the customer sees it so dramatically within that period that it becomes exciting for them to start thinking about what does it mean to go from just 50 assets and machines that I've got today to, can I go enterprise eventually with this, once I've accumulated enough value?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I'm thinking of my own behavior. When I order something online and I look at how easy or how painful it might be to return it, that does factor into my decision-making in terms of, is it on my nickel to return this thing if it doesn't work or I'm unhappy with it? I would say the rule is that I am happy with it, but knowing that I can back away from it if I need to, it influences my behavior. And I would think that, the hurdle with a a subscription-based service where Bentley's shouldering all of these different costs and activities, and the customer can in turn make sure they're getting value from it before they continue. That's a pretty attractive model, and it does represent a pretty big change in this industry. I know the Netflixes and the subscription, Consumer Reports, whatever it is you subscribe to online, that's been there for a long time, but it's relatively new to this industry, isn't it?
It is, and it's funny. I would argue that two things have occurred. The Netflixes of the world, and that, call it convenience and how that works, or Amazon, where you can return almost virtually anything that you want. That concept on the consumer side has been influencing the industrial Internet of Things to force us to work to this methodology as well, because why not, right? Becomes the question. And I'd argue that there's a generational piece here too, where you've got a lot of folks coming from some of these consumer backgrounds, moving into, working into these industrial settings that also want to see the same thing. So these two things are actually working in our favor to transform, call it the manufacturing IIoT universe, and necessitating we provide this type of SaaS solution.
Well, Carlos, this has been a really fascinating conversation, and I think I have enough questions to fill lots more episodes, but I realize that your time is precious, and I'm thankful for every minute of it we can get. With that, I think we'll close out this episode, but I'd like to have you back for one more kind of concluding episode, and we'll talk a little bit about something a customer recently said to you in terms of value, and I think that'll be of interest to our listeners. So with that, you've been listening to Take 5 with Bentley Nevada, a Baker Hughes business. We'll see you next time.